Welcome back to Will's Chatter. Today we got Tony in the building, talking real estate, buying homes. We'll talk about credit. We'll talk about the market, how crazy it is, crazy house stories. I'm pretty sure he has a few and more. Let's just get into it, man. What's up, Tony?
What's going on, Will? How are you?
All right, how's everything?
Good. Thank you for having me.
All right. Where you originally from?
Me, I'm born and raised in Jersey, born in Patterson, St. Joe's. My background is mom and dad are Italian. Mom is full Italian. Dad is half Italian, half Irish. Don't speak any of the languages. It's like 4 generations back.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, but so I'm American.
All right. Yeah, I hear that. How did you get into real estate like that? How did that happen?
Oh, man, my crazy story. My ex-father-in-law, God rest his soul, back in 2004, I was out of a job. And he says, you know what, Tony, go get your license. Go get your real estate license. I think it'll be a good fit for you. And sure enough, took the class. And here we are today. It's been 21 years and counting.
Wow.
Yeah.
You started here in Jersey.
In Jersey, in Passaic County. Yeah. Got licensed and went right to work. You have to pick a brokerage where to hang your license. You take the 3-week full-time class. You take a test there, then you take a state test, and at that point you got to know where you're gonna hang your license and who's gonna pick you up, and then you start from there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
For some reason I thought it was the other way around. You have to have like a agency that was going to kind of.
You could do that. And back in the day, they used to call, I guess, what was like sponsor.
Sponsor,
they would
yeah,
pay
that's
for
the
the
word.
class and stuff like that.
And then you would go to work with them.
Yeah. So there was agencies that did that, offices that did that. I paid my own class. I didn't really want to be held to nobody. You know what I mean? I figured if I didn't like the brokerage I choose, I could just jump. I felt like there was a catch-22 with that. Oh, if they paid for my class, maybe I'd have to stay there for a certain period of time. What if I don't like it? What if I didn't like the vibe? So I paid for my class and just decided, did some research, decided who to, where to put my license and start with. And I think I ended up with my first office for about 5-6 year stretch. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That was your first?
That was my first office, actually, in Passaic, Louis Sanchez Realty. Great. I'm still friends with him today. Great guy, great mentor into having a business, and taught me a lot. And stayed there, like I said, about 5-6 years. And then I went to Wykert in Clifton and did a nice stretch there. And then, hopped around a bit from there. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
At the end of the day, it's... Listen, no matter where you are, you have to sell yourself. You know what I mean? The people you're going to knock on the door, you're doing cold calling. You got to make that person comfortable with you. You know what I mean? So you could work for Mickey Mouse Realty. At the end of the day, it's you that the client's got to feel comfortable with, and you got to gain that trust with them. And, so it's all about selling yourself and your image and, telling your story and what you have to offer. And the client makes a decision if they're going to choose you or go with the next guy.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of it is true. Like, I wonder how people, I remember when like we bought our home, for example, we walked in and we didn't even meet with any realtor or something. Okay. It was just like a for sale sign. We called the number, a person showed up, they showed us a house. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was cool and everything, but I don't think he had anything to do with it.
Okay.
I just thought that we fell in love with the house.
Yeah, so you just saw the sign,
realtor,
the number right away. Yeah, of course.
But I'm assuming like when people have like open houses, people come in and they get that introduction from the realtor, and they get to be introduced person to person, and you speak to them and they show you around. Like, it's more of a personal thing when it's like there's like two different things that happen.
For sure. Open houses are great for networking and for business, for new agents and for seasoned agents. Listen, you're never too big enough for more business, right? So an open house, you work an open house, even work open houses for another agent in the office. Like our office at this point where I'm at now, we have about 35 plus full-time agents. And if somebody's got an open house going and they can't do it, they'll put it in the chat. Hey, anybody want to cover my open house this weekend? You go, you network it, you go do it. And it's like, it's your open house. Somebody comes in, there's a sign-in sheet. Listen, hey, are you working with a realtor? No, I'm not. Boom, there's your shoe in. Let me see if I could gain their trust. Maybe I'll pick up a new client. So not only are you trying to sell that house for the other agent, but at the same time, you might get the buyer for that house, and that, or pick up a client, if not for that house, for another house. So open houses are a great way to meet people, network, and gain the trust of a client. Yeah,
I think so. I think a lot of people actually, when they are looking for homes, they look for specific just that open house type of
Yes.
signs that they have around, because people want to meet and have that one-on-one and kind of have that personal thing.
Of course.
Yeah, I think that works a lot.
Definitely.
What do you think a lot of people misunderstand about real estate agents?
About agents themselves, or like the industry?
Well, the agent itself.
Well, the agent is probably, you get a lot of people that say, I don't want to use a realtor. I don't want to pay the commission. I could sell the house myself. It's not always about that. Sometimes you might be shortchanging yourself. It's not always about the dollar. It's, about the experience, about representing you, what you might miss out on. If you don't hire that professional, in the long run, you might be hurting yourself. You might be selling yourself short. So a lot of people, I guess they give us like I don't want to say a bad reputation, but you got the people that are educated and know what a realtor does, and then you got the people that, they're just I could sell my house myself, they're gonna take my money. You know what I mean? So I guess it all depends on the individual, and that's, like I said, that's why another good reason for open houses, and maybe somebody that's a little shaky on the fence about using a realtor. You get to meet them. It's in a quiet, calm, cool environment, and get to chat a little bit if the open house is not too busy, and get to feel them out, and at the same time they get to feel the agent out. Oh man, that agent said something that I was misunderstood about. I didn't know that. Whatever, something about the commission maybe. You could put the commission on top. I tell somebody, what's the number you're looking for? Forget about the commission 1 minute. What's the number you're looking for? Okay, you hear the number. What about, I could tell you I could get more for your home. And there you go. The more I could get for your home is going to be where the commission will come out of. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of angles and stuff like that. So again, once you get to talk to that individual, you might be able to eliminate that bad perception they had about the realtor,
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
In your eyes, what makes a good agent?
Man, I would say an agent that, definitely you want to say a little experience, some experience, but definitely an agent that's going to be a communicator. You know what I mean? Hands-on, somebody that's, gonna lead the way for the client. Let them know, from point A to point Z, what's gonna happen, and just be full transparency and a lot of communication. You know what I mean? Because somebody, again, you might have a client that never purchased a home before, or never sold a home before, or it might be for an apartment rental. Something as small as that. We cover apartment rentals. We list apartments for rent. So it's not just selling or buying a house. So it's just important to be transparent, and communication is key, because you want to feel like, and just make yourself accessible. I'm sorry, that's a good point. You know what I mean? That, here, listen, here's my phone, here's my email, text me, call me 24/7. This phone, in this business, your phone is your lifeline. You don't pick up your phone, you don't answer a text message, they might go to the next guy. You know what? I was going to give Tony a shot. He seemed, I saw his video on the IG and this and that. He caught my eye, something about him, but damn, he didn't pick up his phone. Or, I always was a firm believer in this business. Your phone is your lifeline. People understand. Listen,
there he goes.
Speaking of that, there's a phone. Yeah, right. So I full accessible. Let the client know that, listen, I'm fully accessible. You hire me, you go with me. No matter when you call, when you text, I'm going to try to get back to you ASAP. So I think that's important.
Yeah, I think it's very important, especially, for example, if I'm going to put my house in your hands, and it's, and it's worth, $500,000-$700,000, and I'm like, okay, I'm leaving it all up to you, man. I need this house to be sold.
Yes.
It has to be somebody you trust, somebody you're communicating with, and he's always on top of you, calling you and letting you know what's going on, who's going to see this, who's going to do that, who put a bid in.
Definitely.
I think it's very important.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, big time.
And I know that what year you started again?
2005 to be exact.
2005.
Yeah.
So 2005 to today, I know there's got to be some crazy stories behind you, either showing an apartment or showing a house.
Yeah, so I can't recall an exact story that that I could recall, or a certain situation. But I'll tell you what, 2 years after I became licensed, we had the big crash in 2007 into 2008, and that was like a wake up call, because at that point I think I was doing it full time. I'm not sure if I had a job at that period, but when the market crashed, but that was tough. Just being a new agent into the business, and then one day to the next, the whole market just changes. That's at the time where they were giving. Basically, I refer to it as like a car loan, like sign and drive, like anybody, your grandma get a loan not working, just on Social Security. And the mortgage industry the whole industry was very lax when it came to qualifications and doing that. And there was people basically, like I said, just signing and driving, signing and walking in the house. You know what I mean? Like not checking if that person was qualified, doing their due diligence, just giving anybody a mortgage, and the market just eventually just crashed. Values were pretty high, and people were purchasing homes that they couldn't really afford, and not paying a mortgage, and that just took the industry to plunge.
Yeah.
So that was being 2 years into it, and again, I can't recall if I was doing it full time at that time or had a job and doing it part time. But even now, I've been I've been 20 years. So I was probably like a year. That was second year in, because I started 2006. So I was doing a full time job. Even now that I have a full-time job and I do this, I'm not a full-time agent, say, but you are a full-time agent, because you have access to the phone, you have access to text, emails. So even when I'm at work, I have the capability, thank God, during a break, or pick up a call 1 minute, answer a text, shoot an email. So, when that's another question that an individual asks when they're scouting out an agent. Are you full-time? Are you part-time? Oh, you have a full-time job. How you going to be able to handle my situation? Yes, I'm like, listen, give me a chance. I know it sounds like scary, but I have the flexibility, and believe me, take my word, gain my trust. And if you think about it, most of the real estate is done in the evening or on the weekends anyway. It's very rare that you got somebody that wants to see a house at 10 a.m. in the morning. So I've been able to juggle both the full-time job and the real estate. So
that could be a deal breaker for some people, huh? Because they want people accessible like 24 hours.
Yeah. I don't remember like coming across that bridge and being a deal breaker, but could have been. I mean, nobody ever.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some clients I lost along the way due to whatever the reason was at the time, but that might have been one of the reasons, and they just didn't come out and say it. You know what I mean? So it could have been.
It's got to be frustrating sometimes when you put a lot of work into something, and at the last minute after you're done, you're almost there, and it just falls apart.
Yes, this is one of them industries that could be very, very, very beneficial, and but another one that you don't get paid until that deal is closed and you're at that table and everything is signed. And so I had deals fall apart right there, one right at the table. You know what I mean? We're waiting on a number from the bank. Something comes over. They don't agree. Client's like, look, I'm not moving forward with this. This is not what the mortgage rep told me. At the 11th hour, they're coming out with something else, and whatever it might be, it's tough. Like I said, the business has a lot of beneficial things with it. It comes along with you make your own schedule, you make your own hours. You're an independent contractor. You work for yourself. A lot of money could be made in the industry, but there's a lot of hard work involved. And again, you can't, take anything for granted until you're at that table and everybody's signing, everybody's happy. And that's basically what it comes down to. Or on the other hand, you work with another side of it. You work with a buyer, you work with a seller, right? So you're here working with a buyer for 3, 4, 5, 6 months at a time, going out showing houses on the weekend, on the evening, and then all of a sudden you get that text or call one day, Tony, I'm just going to hold off for now. I got discouraged. I couldn't find anything. There's nothing out there. Everything's overpriced. Everything, like, wow. If you break
put
down
100% into that.
Yeah, if you break down all the time and effort you put into that, and I don't see zero, that's just, some of the what comes along with the business, the territory. You know what I mean? The plus and minuses.
Wow.
So that's just the nature of the business. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, compared to when you actually started and today, I mean, isn't it different between like someone who wants to become a realtor today? Has a lot of things changed? Is it harder or easier?
I couldn't tell you if the test changed much because again I've been licensed for so many years, but I know the industry with being a little more on the qualifying end. Like every 2 years, you got to go for what they call continuing ed credits. You got to take about a minimum of 12 credits, continuing education, and make sure you keep up with the industry. Anything that changes, any new laws implemented, So every 2 years, you got to take what they call continuing ed, 12 credits, before you're able to renew your license. So
that's all have to do with the real estate industry.
Yes, and same with the mortgage industry now. The mortgage industry, that's not my side of the business, but you speak to people in the business, and that got a little more stricter with the guidelines and stuff after the crash back in 2007. So even they also got to go for continuing education, get their so many credits before they're able to renew their mortgage license. So they tightened down the hatchet a little bit after that crash and making sure everybody's up on their, knowing what, you got to know what you're selling, know what you're doing in the industry. It's like anything else, what I mean?
Things change so much, you got to be on top of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's two parts to this, right? My understanding is you have to take a test. And then you have to be certified through the state or something like that, right?
Well,
to get your
tests.
license.
Yeah, it's 2 tests. So you take whoever gives you the class, you take a test there, and then once you pass that test, you're able to take the state test. Yeah, and obviously they do a background check. You have to, that's something that changed from back way then. Even when you do the renewal of the license and you get your continuing ed credits before you renew your license, you have to complete that questionnaire. It's like 10 questions, and they ask you, have you been charged with this, found guilty of this, or, stuff like that. So that changed through the years too. They implemented, you can't have, some kind of, depending if you got in trouble with something. I don't know what the limits are and what exactly it is, but depending on how severe it is, it could disqualify you from getting a license.
You said that wasn't like that before.
No, not that I can remember. No,
so somebody with a background, a criminal background, would have got a license and could be selling a home.
Yes. Yeah.
You would never know.
You would never know.
Yeah.
So thank God for changing the standards and the qualifications.
Yeah.
Things got a little more.
But it's been definitely worth it. If someone's thinking about it, just go for it and do your thing, like any other career.
Yes, 100%. Some people, every now and then you'll meet somebody that says, "Oh, why don't you quit your job and go for a full time? You could do it." It's like, it's you got commitments. You got your health insurance, you got obligations to this, and you get that security of a check. It's like you're going into the unknown. You know what I mean? You don't sell, you don't produce. There's no check. You know what I mean? So it's a little. I know sometimes you got to take that leap, but I don't want to say I think negative, but I like the security of the job and the check and the insurance and the pension, and I'm able to do the real estate as well. So why not? If I could juggle both.
I think it's it's awesome that you could do both.
Yeah. Same here. So I'm like,
who says no to an extra income that you have control of?
Exactly.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's true.
What's the the weirdest house you walked into and you went, "Oh boy, this is gonna be extra work for me"?
You've seen some winners, what I call it, through my career. That some of these
you like questions like, "Why you want to sell this? Just keep it, man. It's better just to keep it."
Exactly, or knock it down.
Knock it down.
Level it. What are you even thinking about, right? What are you just thinking about? But sometimes pictures could be very deceiving, man. They paint this beautiful. Picture on the internet selling this home, and they provide
I see that.
Exactly. And then when you get in there, you're like, yo, is this Photoshop? What's going on here? Is this the same home I was looking at? So just look like, I tell people all
physically.
the time. Go physically.
Definitely. Don't trust the pictures.
Don't trust it. And then again, there's some bank home deals, some foreclosure deals that that you bid on that you don't get to see inside. So you're taking a chance. You're at the auction, you're bidding on something, so you take a chance. So I tell my clients, look, do as much homework as you can. Obviously, myself, that's why you're hiring me. But thank God I never had any bad experiences with that. I think I might have did a handful of foreclosure homes that turned out to be okay, besides having some junk inside that they needed maybe a few dumpsters for to get rid of it. But at least the bones and structure of the home was good. That stuff like that is very important. That's why you tell your buyers, you tell your sellers, especially your buyers, when you're buying a home, you do your home inspection for the protection of yourself. You're investing a lot of money. You want to do your due diligence. You do your home inspection. You do a source scope. You do a radon test. You do a termite test. Oil tank sweep. Make sure there's no environmental issues. Home inspector comes in, checks the structure of the home. Make sure there's no foundation cracks. Them things could be deal breakers. Not only deal breakers, if it's something that we don't do. If we move forward without doing a home inspection and you come back and find this after you close, it falls on you. You know what I mean?
Very beneficial for the buyer,
yes,
especially.
Yes.
So you definitely suggest a must.
Oh yeah, I recommend
Any type from front to back, from top to bottom.
Whatever
get
we
it
can
checked
check,
out, inside
I tell
out.
the buyer, do it. Spend that money, you have a peace of mind. You know what I mean? Check the roof. These guys come with their drones. If they don't go up on a ladder, they come up with the drones, check the roof, check the chimney. They do this day in and day out, just like we have full-time jobs. They know what to look for. They take off the breaker panel, make sure there's no double tapping with the electric.
Okay.
Check for termites. They poke around in the beams from in the basement to make sure the stick doesn't go right through, and you say, oh man, this wood is dry rotted. There's termites. If not termites, there was termites in the past. Let's get this treated. So stuff like that. The source scope has been big the last probably 5-10 years in the business. So many issues with soar laterals. If you had to change your soar lateral and absorb that cost, you could go anywhere from on the low end to 10, 15,000 up to 25, 30,000, depending on how far you got to go with the lateral that you got to replace. So things like that could be very, very costly. So you want to protect your buyer, protect their, investment.
Yeah, that's
spend a little money and you have a peace of mind.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
I'm serious, because a lot of people just feel like they run into a good deal, and they just don't want nothing to interfere with that gut feeling that they have. And it's like, wait a minute, you're going too fast.
Exactly. Put on the brakes. Think about it. I know you love the home. You're in love with the home, but listen, you want to do your homework, do your due diligence, make sure everything is okay with this. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Especially an old home.
Yeah.
There's a lot of old homes in the market that they get, how you say it, wrapped up real pretty, like a gift, and then you don't know what's behind the walls.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's tough when it's a basement. You walk into these basements, these homes in the basement's finished. It's hard for the home inspector because they're not going to start ripping sheetrock down, so you can't tell what's So stuff like that. Sometimes you just take a chance and roll the dice, but you want to do as much investigating as you can, and that's also why it comes important to hire an attorney, having an attorney do the deal, do your title work, do your title search, make sure there's no judgments, no liens on the property that you're going to be buying into and you inherit. If you don't do this, you find out. That's the whole point of doing a title search, having an attorney. So all these things are crucial. That's another point of getting back to why you hire a realtor and hire a professional, because all these things come with them services. Obviously, there's a cost for it, but you want to protect you. You just don't want to sell your home to Joe Schmo down the block and you don't have no attorney involved and you're just going to draw up a piece of paper. You want to make sure you're protected. We're talking about a big investment, whether you're on the buying end or selling end. Either way, it's you want to be protected and you hire the professional.
I guess you're dealing with buyer and seller.
Correct.
At the same time, not just the buyer. And so, have you had any crazy buyer seller crazy stories when they're like, I don't want to sell to him. I don't like him. Yeah. I'm not buying from him. I don't like him.
Yeah. Sometimes there'll be something said or there'll be something done that can turn somebody off. And I'm sure I had some crazy ones. Nothing that comes to my head right now, but it's tough because if you're on a listing side and another realtor brings in a buyer, you at the same time you're basically working for both, represent both, even though there's another realtor involved. It's your listing. You still got to do your due diligence, make sure everything's all right with the offer they submit to you before you tell your client, look, I think this is the one to go with. Especially if you have multiple offers. When the market was crazy at 1.2-3 years ago, when things were going for well over asking, 100,000 plus, and you had do an open house with a line around the block and highest and best due in 48 hours, and you had 25 offers to review. So you got to go over every one with a fine-tooth comb and look at everything, down payment, who's doing their mortgage, what they're asking for, are there any contingencies, do they have to sell something before they're buying this home? So you have to, do your homework, interact with the other agent, make sure you guys are on the same page. Sometimes some horror stories are the other agents that are not as up to par as you are, and you feel like, you're involved in this deal. You're bringing the client in, but you're not doing your homework. You're not doing your due diligence. I'm picking up your part of the work. You know what I mean? Like, so you get a lot of them too as well if you don't work with an experienced agent. So yeah, there's some stories to this. It's not all peaches and cream in this business. You know what I mean? There's a lot of ups and downs, but again, there's a lot of rewards. But there's a lot to come with it. It's not just, I just want to get my real estate license. It's easy money. No, it's not, because like I said, gave you a perfect example. Working with a buyer, 5, 6, 7 months, and they say, you know what, Tony, I'm going to hold off. All that time and effort you put in, that's just part of the nature of the business. So you're going into this business knowing that it's not just quick money. My first broker always told me, Tony, don't figure out the commission when you get a deal. Just keep working. You know what I mean? Don't right away, guys, get out the calculator. Oh man, I listed this house for $500,000. I got the client for 6% commission. Start doing the numbers. This is what I bet you. No. Focus on the deal, the bones, the structure. Get to the table. You know what I mean? The money will follow.
The money will follow.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're good at what you're doing, you become, and then that stuff is just, if you start doing it that way, you start doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yes. Correct. Correct.
But now you're just thinking money.
Exactly.
You don't really have any heart in it.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's rewarding helping somebody that says, oh man, I didn't think I can ever buy my own home. I didn't think I can ever sell this home. That's rewarding. Accomplishment, getting to that closing table, holding the sold sign, popping that bottle of champagne, giving them a closing gift. That's rewarding.
It's an emotional moment.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's almost like a dream for somebody, and so, I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is.
You've been in the market for a while, and for years, you've seen it fluctuate up and down. And so what do you think now, for example, in New Jersey? What's the market you think like today?
I mean, today the rates are a little higher than what everybody was used to when we had that awesome rate. But again, then you talk to guys that been in the business for years or clients that are a little older, and they're like, Tony, when I bought my first home, interest rate was 12%. All these people are complaining about 6%, 7%. I bought my home at 12, 13%. You're like, wow, holy shit, I wasn't in the business at that time. But when you do some reading, you do some research, you're like, damn, at one point in the 50s and the 60s, the 70s, rates were crazy. You know what I mean? So to think we complain about what the rate is today, because at one point we got spoiled. What was it, 6, 7, 8 years ago? Rates were in the 2s to 3s. Like, wow, you know what I mean? You buy a home for $500,000 with a 2% rate. It's just peaches and cream, you know what I mean? Then it starts creeping 5, 6, 7, 8%. They're like, oh, everybody's stepping back now. But I tell the people, listen, you can always refinance. You want to buy a home, you have the down payment ready, you have the job, you're qualified. Don't get scared with the rate. You can always refi. You find a home you love, you're ready to buy. Listen, it's definitely better than renting, depending on the situation. In a long time, you as a tenant, you're paying somebody's mortgage. I understand it's that, got to get prepared. I don't know what I got to do. Get your credit checked, save your down payment. But if you do all that and you get ready, make that leap. Don't worry about what the rate is, because you can always refi if they go down. What about if they go up and you wait and they go up? You know what I mean? So I always tell people, if you're on the fence, there's, just think of the pros of it, not the cons. Don't be so negative. Don't let it discourage you what the rate is. You want to buy a home, buy it. And you can always refi when the rate goes down. Yeah, but
Yeah.
to know what's going to happen in the next 6 months to a year, if I had a crystal ball, don't know. Right now, it seems pretty stable. I think it's going to remain that way for a while. I don't think the rates are going to get any higher or any lower. I think they're going to just remain stable for a while.
It took a long time for the rates to go up. I mean, we're looking at almost 8 to 10 years. So it's not like it happened overnight.
No,
So
correct.
I mean, it has its moments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. I agree.
I mean, you mentioned before credit and people who are buying homes and stuff like that. What helps more, like a good credit or like bigger savings or? Yeah.
I mean both. I mean, listen, you could get into a home with minimum of, I seen deals done with clients that had like a 580 FICO. You got your FHA loans, which are your, government loans. And then you got your conventional loans, you got your VA loans for veterans. So definitely credit is important because the higher your credit score is, the better your rate's going to be. Your credit fluctuates the rate. Obviously, even with like car buying, you know what I mean? If your credit is poor, they're going to give you a higher interest rate. So credit is definitely important. The better your credit, the better the rate's going to be. Down payment is a must. You can't get away from that. The minimum down is 3.5% now on an FHA loan. Closing costs are needed, but or how should I say it? Not a requirement. It's something you got to pay. You got to pay. You're responsible for your down payment, your closing costs. Your down payment you must have. Your closing costs you can always structure into the loan. So closing costs are typically 1.5%, 2%, 2.5% of the loan. If you don't have that money, you could have the mortgage company structure that into the loan. So you definitely have to have your down payment. There's programs out there that supply the down payment depending on first-time buyers. So many different programs out there where you could, in certain areas, obtain the down payment funds. And let's say if you stay in that house for a minimum of years, you don't have to pay it back. So there's different avenues, but definitely you want to be prepared credit-wise. The stronger your credit is and the more money you have saved up for the down payment, better. And obviously the higher down, the minimum is 3.5% down, but obviously the more you put down, it'll bring that payment lower. So it's all, I tell clients, it's all a matter of your comfort zone. It's good to go get pre-approved. Very important. That's the first step, right? And find out where your comfort level is. Listen, mortgage guy might run your credit and, you provide your financials, say, so-and-so, you're qualified for, $600,000 home. $600,000 home, with the money you're putting down and your credit, your rate will be at so-and-so amount. But you might be able to afford that, but that might not be your comfort level. So that's why it's good to get pre-qualified, know where you stand, know where you want to be at. Mortgage guys could ask you where you want to be at with a payment. And do you want a single family? It's all on you. You want a 2 or 3 family? You got some rental income to help with that mortgage payment. You know what I mean? So it all depends on the person's situation. But obviously, the better the credit, the more money down, it's just going to be a win-win for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what should someone fix first before buying a home? Like if, like I say, I have decent credit. I got some money saved. I know you mentioned some banks and some loans. Like even 401ks will help out if you've been in it for a while.
Tap into your 401k if you need some money.
So you have all those like what should they? But they're not 100% with everything. Either they're somebody might be missing a nice chunk of down payment. Somebody might have the down payment, but have poor credit.
Correct.
Maybe their finances are not. What should they fix first to kind of say, okay, now I'm ready to go.
Got it. Well, that's why it's also important too. If you're, looking 6 months, a year, you're going to be thinking about buying a home. It's on my mind. Listen, let's run your credit. Let's see what your credit looks like. You have any debt. Your debt to income ratio is important. You might make $200,000, but you might owe $300,000. So that's where the debt to income ratio comes in. So it's very important, if you don't know, to run your credit, see where you stand, see where your score is, see where your debt level is, get that in order. You know what I mean? So I say credit, run your credit, see where you're at. Obviously, you got to have a stable job, at least 2 years working, 2 years of income tax returns to give to the mortgage individual to, get you a pre-approval, your 2-year tax returns, your pay stubs, if you're self-employed, all depending on the person's situation. Again, once you meet with the mortgage individual and they hear what your scenario is, they'll know what avenue to guide you, what loan is going to be for that individual. Poor credit, not too much down payment, not too long on the job, whatever the case may be. But definitely the first place to start is credit. Know where your debt is, know where you owe, know where your credit score is, and just try to get that debt down to a minimal. Because the lower your debt down, the more you're going to qualify for. That's where that debt to income ratio comes in. You can make a hell of a salary, but if you owe a lot of money, then the ratio is going to be upside down. You're not going to qualify for more. You're going to say, how come I make a good check every 2 years? But look at your debt. You know what I mean? So how do you want the bank to give you $500,000 loan when you owe $150,000, $200,000 in credit cards, car payment, whatever it may be? So that I would say would be the first avenue to go to.
Get what you need, not what you want.
Exactly.
Just because you can make a lot of money, a lot of people want to spend a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the big problem.
Yeah. Of course.
What are one of the biggest mistakes that first-time buyers do?
First-time buyers do. So I'll give you an example. We start the process. We find a home. We're going for the loan, and they go buy a new car or go pull a new credit card. These are things you learn as your do's and don'ts in this industry. That's something that could kill the whole deal. What happens is the mortgage individual runs your credit, obviously, before we start, and they run the credit a couple days before the closing to make sure everything is still the same. They do a VOE, a verification of employment. Listen, when you applied for the pre-qual, you're working at AZ, whatever. They call the company, make sure this individual is still on the payroll, make sure they're still working. So they do the same thing with checking the credit. And they find this person went to buy a new $25,000 car 2 weeks before the closing. Guess what? The deal just fell apart. The bank killed the deal. So stuff like that is very important. You know the business. The mortgage individual you choose knows the business to explain this to the client, what your do's and don'ts. Listen, you just applied for a mortgage. You're going to be buying a house. We're going to start the process. Don't go open any new credit lines. Don't go buy a new car.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because it could just make everything go south.
Then you hit it right on the nail. Like if you don't have the right agent working with you and you don't know that you're not supposed to do that, you go along with life like nothing.
Correct.
You go to Marshall's. Hey, you get 10% off if you got to that. Okay, and you sign a credit card, and now you start, and that could ruin your whole procedure. Ruin the whole deal.
Yes.
Wow,
yes.
That's
stuff like that's important.
Yeah.
When
before I got this home, I lived in Passaic Towers.
Okay.
I love that apartment.
Okay.
It was me and my wife's first place of when we lived together, and I loved it.
Okay.
I mean, it was huge. Walk-in closets, it was a beautiful building, doorman. I mean, nice. I loved it,
Of course.
But of course, the rent just started creeping up on me.
Yep.
And it's like, for the money that we're actually paying here,
you're like, I could be paying a mortgage,
we should be paying a mortgage. Yep. And then we ended up coming here. But what do you think? Buy or rent? Because I know you do both.
Correct. Well, again, it all depends on the individual, what their end goal is. What do you want to own a house one day? Some people are scared of home ownership. They're like, oh man, I'm responsible. God forbid the roof breaks, the boiler breaks. Some people like paying rent, knowing they don't have no worries. Something breaks, they call 1-800-landlord.
I'm not gonna lie, man. It was cool. Call my boy and the maintenance guy. He would fix my sink in a heartbeat. I didn't have to do anything, But,
see, so again, it all depends on the individual. But I mean, listen, to me, it's nothing like owning your home.
No, you're absolutely right.
You're paying into something that's going to be yours one day. You hope to. The big money items, the roof, the boiler, windows, all that stuff is good when you purchase the home, so you don't have to deal with that headache down the line anytime soon.
Yeah.
Or buy new. I know it's not cheap, a little more money, but some of these brand new construction homes come with a 10-year home warranty. gives you a peace of mind as a buyer. Listen, I know
That is
the
awesome.
roof is brand new. Roofs last typically 20 to 30 years. I know that's not going to be a headache. Boiler, I get 10, 15 years now with these new boilers. So if you're a little hesitant about that, you don't have to stay renting. Also, there's options. You could buy a condo or a townhouse. You pay HOA fees. You pay a little higher with that monthly fee, but that covers that. You don't have to worry about the roof. That's on the homeowners association. They're going to maintain the roof.
That's a good point.
So you could own something, and you're just responsible for whatever's in them four walls. You know what I mean? So it's not as big of a, I don't want to say a headache as a house, but if somebody who's on that fence and a little skeptic about, oh man, I don't want to have all them responsibilities. I'm single. I don't have a husband. I don't have this. I don't have a partner to help me with the headaches. Listen, buy a condo, buy a townhouse.
Yeah.
So there's options. Again, it all depends on the individual.
Yeah, I was exactly what I was going to say. Like, it all depends, either condo or house. It all depends on the individual.
Correct.
Like, I wouldn't mind owning an apartment, but if I was going to live in a certain area, like here where I live, it's great to have a house. You move into like more of a city, more environment, you might want to have a nice little high rise somewhere. So it all depends.
Hudson County, Jersey City, somewhere along the water.
Yeah.
Somewhere like that. Maybe an apartment building or a high rise would be more suitable. Again, like you said, depending on the location. It all depends on the individual and what they're looking for, and there's something out there for everybody.
Like, if you, for example, if someone's going to go to look at a house, they haven't gotten inspected, they're not even that far yet.
Okay.
They're going in, they're probably meeting with a realtor who's having an open house. What's a red flag for that one individual person who's just walking through the house? Not a professional.
Yeah.
Just somebody who wants to, because we buy stuff with emotions.
Okay,
oh my God, my wife saw this house from the outside and she goes, "That's my house."
Yeah.
I said, let's go inside first.
Yeah. Of course.
This is how it looks at first.
Yeah.
But no, we ended up, she buying it. But of course, we were looking at a home not with professional eyes. We're looking at it with like, oh my God, this is it. Your dreams coming through your eyes and you see it. So what red flag should we be looking for if we're going to walk through a house?
I wouldn't say red flag necessarily, but that comes back to, okay, if you act on emotions, you obviously got to make a decision. This is the home we've been searching for a while. There's something about this home. It feels right. I love it. Then it comes with doing your homework. Like I said, having an experienced agent, and the agent guides you through from A to Z, beginning to end. These are your first steps. So you would submit an offer. You guys love the home. Obviously, you can't do your due diligence and home inspection before getting your offer accepted. So you're searching around. You do, as much looking around as you can with the open house, or schedule another appointment. Look, I want to submit an offer, but it's just something I want to come back and look at something else. No problem. At one point in the market, you couldn't do that. There was no chance for you coming back. The market was so crazy. You come to your open house, you had to make a decision. You submit your offer, and then you find something out afterwards. So at that point, you're still not committed. You're not bonded to it. You submit your offer is accepted. You start your attorney review period. After your attorney review period, then the ball starts rolling with home inspection, appraisal, deposit, all that. So there's still time to back out in case you see a red flag, or the home inspector brings up a red flag. Listen, I know you guys are in love with this home. It feels right, but there's a crack in the foundation downstairs. I recommend you give it some more thought, or bring in another professional to see what it's going to cost to repair that situation.
Yeah.
If it could be repaired, you know what I mean? Depending on the severity of what's what. So I wouldn't say there's so much of a red flag that you could look for. I mean, just do your due diligence, do your homework, make sure you hire the right individual, and just go about things, slow and steady. Make sure you cover everything.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think it goes also with buyers and sellers. And don't ignore certain, even with somebody who's selling a home. I mean, there's some people who really care who they sell the house to.
Yeah.
they do. They see a little family, they're young. Oh my God, this is your first home. And right away they're like, oh my God, she has a baby. This is perfect for them. But it may not go through. It will go through. But, it's one of those things that you either or. They get certain things that they get attached to.
Of course. You see that a lot when you have multiple offers and the seller has to make a decision. For a point in time, and it's still happening today, realtors will tell their client, listen, you want to submit an offer on this home? Give me a one-page letter writing it personalized from you to the owner as to explaining why you want this home.
Oh.
Sentimental value, what touches you, the location, the area. You submit the offer, you attach that with the offer. The homeowner's like, oh, wow, this person really wants the home because so-and-so lived in it one day, the location to the school, they just started out, they just got married, they're raising their family, boom, you hit something in their heart. They're like, we're going with this offer. Might be a little less, might be a little high, but we're going with this offer because of, exactly.
Wow.
We know another thing is we're going to keep it the same. I mean, listen, you would hope the person's not lying, but you get that feel when you come in a home and you hear the seller saying, I hope whoever buys this home doesn't knock this down, and Uncle Charlie did this, and there's so much sentimental value, and I would hope the new buyer comes in and keeps it the same. So that could be another selling point, another what that seller hears the buyer say could be another helpful advantage towards the buyer and getting their offer accepted. Oh man, that buyer, I remember that couple coming in and say they're keeping it home just like it is. They love everything about it. And that makes the seller content. You know what I mean? So there's situations that I've seen in this industry since I've been in it that, you learn every day in this business, you're like, wow, something like that left an effect on that person, and they're going with that person's offer because of what was said or what they want to do, or because of that letter they sent over to the seller. So stuff like that.
Sometimes it's that's a great story, man, because it's not a story like something that a lot of people don't know happens unless like somebody like yourself say, hey, like the seller wants a little personal story why you want to buy this house.
Yes.
And it's unbelievable to see that somebody will make a choice depending on that letter.
Yeah.
Not,
that could be the persuading factor.
Yeah. Not, your bid, like you said, your bid might be less than others.
Exactly.
And the person who gave the most bid says, well, why he didn't choose my bid? I gave him more than he wanted.
Yep. Right.
And then the person who gave just a little less it got accepted, and you're like, well, why? And they could be because of that letter.
It might not, in the seller's mind, it's not all about the money. Obviously, I'm selling my home.
Yeah.
You're going to gain some proceeds, obviously, but each person got something different going on. That seller might love this home so much, has to part ways for a certain reason, and knowing that the buyer coming in is going to leave it the same or whatever the situation may be, that one factor might change that whole person's decision or help with making their decision as to why. So again, everybody's different. Each situation is different. So that's why that letter works. It's all sellers are not all about, I'm going after who's got the most money, who gives me the most. It doesn't always pan out that way. Yeah, it doesn't always pan out that way.
Until you own a home, you don't understand the sentimental connections that you have with it, with people that have come through it. You have kids who was born and grew up in this home.
Correct. That's another thing.
People who just lived here for 10, 20 years, moved on, have their own life. And so many people have walked through your home, and you have so many memories that you have established here. And now you're walking away from all that, and you really don't want to just sell it to anybody.
Exactly.
Because you're so connected to it. Even years later, you'll go and you're somewhere and you're kind of retired and having your own, another home, and you're thinking about all those memories you had in that home, regardless.
Correct.
And the last thing you want to do is go back to your old neighborhood, drive by your house, and it's knocked down.
Exactly.
Freaking, garage or something.
Correct.
And it's like, that's the worst. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. No. So every situation is different. Some sellers, there's a lot of attachment. There's a lot of sentimental value. Some there's not. Listen, I've been here a short period of time. I got to sell because I'm relocating out of state. I don't care what happens with this home. I just need to sell and get out. Everybody's different. You tend to find more of the sentimental stuff in the older older individuals, you know what I mean, that been there for multiple decades. You know, I raised my kids here, I did this here, lost this one here. So again, everybody's situation is different.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
So here in Will's Chatter, I have this thing called Chatter 7.
Okay.
So I'll throw at you 7 questions.
Okay.
These are quick answers.
Okay.
Some of them are 1-word answers.
Okay.
They're quick answers.
Okay.
Hopefully we haven't touched any of it because we did touch a lot of stuff. So
Got it.
I'll throw you the first one. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
So are some agents just opening doors and getting paid?
Yes.
Okay. We did touch on that a little bit.
We did touch on that. Yeah.
All right. Buy now, power move or trap?
Power move, always.
Power move.
Always, yeah.
All right. 3. What's worse, bad credit or no savings? We also touched that.
Yeah, I would say that the no savings, because the bad credit you could fix in 30 to 60 days. Savings is going to be hard to, save,
so
depending on how much is needed. So I would say the bad credit, because that can always be fixed quick.
That's true.
Depending
That's
on
a
the
good
severity
point.
of it, what's needed to be fixed, with the right credit repair agency, that could something that could turn over. I seen in 30 days, some 60, some 90. But to save up a nice chunk,
That's going to
if
take
it's
a while.
not coming as a gift, it could take years.
Because you have other things going on in life that
It's
doesn't
so
stop.
hard to do your daily life, pay bills, live, and then save on top of that.
Put away some
And
money at the same
nowadays,
time. Yeah.
it's tough. So I would say the bad credit.
That's interesting. That's good. Ever walked into a house and say, hell no, I ain't doing this?
Yeah. Not me, but my client. Yep. Walked in and walked out.
Really?
I had them. Yeah.
Oh, so you were showing a house or
Showing
somebody?
a house and the client say, Tony, let's go. No, I just saw something that completely turned me off.
No way.
No problem. You're my client. I got to.
I'm going to add to that because I know it says fast answers, but we were looking for homes. We went into this house. I swear it was one of those 1970 homes from the old Partridge Family type of look.
Yeah.
And everything was a platform. And everything, the kitchen was a platform, the living room was a platform, and there was a platform with chairs. And I'm like, and it was orange and red and yellow, had rugs on.
Colors,
I mean, it was like standstill, 1977, and never changed.
Wow.
I looked at my wife's like, and it was an open house.
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, no, I'm going to grab a cookie. I'm going to go.
I'll wait for you in the car, honey. Oh, boy.
Yeah, that was wild, man. All right, so number 5. Are people buying homes they can't afford to look successful?
Yes, that happens every day. Yeah.
That's an expensive
Keeping up with the Joneses.
That
I'm
is
sure you heard that term
ridiculous.
before.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, listen,
I think I'm past that in my life. I'm so happy.
For sure, man.
I don't care what people think.
Yeah,
I'm just
nothing
gonna-
like being comfortable and content. I don't do something for what the guy down the street is
That's
going
an
to think.
expensive type of action just so you could look good.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I hear you, man. Is renting throwing away money? And I know your answer.
Yeah, I want to say yes and no. Again, it all
Right.
depends on the individual,
depends on
what
who.
the rent price is. Some people got locked in rent that never goes up. Listen, stay within run for as long as you can. Again, it all depends on the person's situation.
And I think renting is also good if you're beginning to be very independent. And so you want to, in the long run, own a home
Correct.
or a condo, but you want to be independent. So you get yourself a nice apartment, you rent for now, something not too crazy.
100%.
And that's where the apartment rental could probably be beneficial for you.
Definitely.
You save a lot of money, as much money as you can.
Exactly.
Don't get stuff that you don't need, and eventually.
Especially if you put a time frame on it and set a goal. I'm going to work towards this. I'm going to be here 5 years. I'm going to have something saved. I'm going to put in my mind that 5 years here and I'm going to a house.
Perfect.
So it all depends on the person's situation, but I agree. Yeah.
All right, last one is one truth about real estate people you don't, let me get this right. One truth about real estate people don't want to hear.
One truth about as from the realtor standpoint, it's not all, like I said, peaches and cream. It's not all a fast buck. I'm going to come in and sell real estate and make a million. It's not going to happen. Don't go in with that perception. Don't go like I was telling you. My first mentor told me, Tony, don't figure out the commission. Don't focus on the money. Focus on the job you chose to do. Do it right. Do it good. Do it honest. Do it transparent. The money will follow. So again, it depends on what kind of where that question is coming from. Is the realtor standpoint? Yeah, don't focus on the money. Yeah,
and that's keeping it real, man. I appreciate it. That's truth because there's a lot of jobs or careers that you choose to do that are rewarding, and there's some jobs that it's just, all right, this is just a job.
Just a job.
You
yeah,
know,
exactly.
And it works. It pays the bills. It pays well. I'm home day and night. I get to have the weekends off. It's a great job. But then there's careers. If you are that person, like a nursing person who has a
Long
rewarding,
hours. Yeah,
long hours.
There's a lot with it that comes with it, right?
I personally love rewarding jobs. You gave me a job that changed people's lives. And it doesn't have to be a huge factor, but anything that changed people's lives, I am just for it. If you tell me, listen, this is what I do and I change people's lives, it doesn't matter what it is. And I think when you give that person that key for the first time, I mean, I could tell you, you don't have to tell me, I could tell you that there's been times where you're like, this person is just such an emotional wreck right now.
Correct.
And they're shaking to open the door, or they're shaking to sign their papers, because it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I got my house. And it's that they're bawling, and the whole family is like, when you see stuff like that, it's got to be rewarding.
Of course, 100%.
It's got to be, this is why I do it for.
You say, this is what I do, this is what it's all about. Exactly. Yeah, and then people, you build that relationship, they're happy, and they call you back. You know what I mean? Past clients, referrals, that's where it all, you do good by somebody, you serve them with the right product, transparent, honest, they're going to call you again. And that's big in this business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, I it's the best thing I've done. And I came from Passaic Towers, which I love that apartment. But after getting my home, I was like, this is nothing like it.
Of course.
I got my backyard where we've had tons of parties, and we've have tons of birthdays with my nieces, and my kids been here. Like, it's just so many memories I've already established here. And
of course.
I think I'm going on 10 years, and it's not even in home world. That's very low still.
Yeah, of course.
But it's such a different feeling, and I remember it
100%.
today, and I still love my home. I come here and I walk into my house, and it's like, I love being here. And I think at the end of the day, it's worth everything that you've put into it to get that key in your hand.
100%.
If you work
100%.
hard at it, you get it done.
Definitely.
So what's the best advice you give someone trying to buy a home today in 2026?
What's the best advice? Listen, just, do your homework, do your due diligence, location, weigh out all the factors.
Do your homework.
Yeah, do your homework. That's basically in a short, line, a short synopsis. That's do your homework. You know what I mean?
You pick the right realtor.
Yes, that's right. That should have been my first. Come on, what's wrong with me, Tony G? Exactly. Call me. Oh man, but do your homework.
Where can people find you?
I'll give you my cell number, 973-650-1879. I will provide my email, Fazzinga, my whole last name, @outlook.com. And on this podcast, I guess I'll share my Instagram handle and Facebook handle.
We'll put everything here at the bottom here for everybody, in case everybody's interested in reaching out to you.
Definitely.
And you do apartments and you do homes.
Yes, homes, apartments, commercial. Yes, little bit of everything. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate you coming through, man.
Thank you for having me.
You've answered a lot.
Pleasure. It's my first podcast, by the way.
Oh man, that's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
I'm glad you chose us to be on.
Definitely.
Appreciate
Happy to be here,
man.
brother. Thank you for the opportunity.
And then you probably most likely answered a lot of questions of people that was confused about things or didn't know. I mean, it's so hard for some people, I'm assuming, to call a real estate firm and go, hey, I have a few questions, and not be followed up. But let me follow up and let me call you. I say, I just want a question. I don't want you to call me. I'm not interested. I don't want to buy a home yet. I just have a few questions. A lot of people won't do that. And so I'm glad that you came through and you answered a lot of those questions for people that had anything that they didn't know about.
I was a big help to somebody.
And they could easily call you, reach out to you if they have anything going on.
Definitely.
So thanks again for sharing those nuggets, man.
You got it, Will. Thank you.
So I'm Will, and so see you guys next time on Will's Chatter. Thanks again, T. Appreciate you.
You got it. Thank you for having me. Take care, guys.